Buenas tardes. How are you? It's good to see you. I'm glad to be here. If you could read my mind, you would see that I'm now wondering how to make all of my entrances as dramatic as that one, and I hope I can live up to it. I'm a poet, and this is going to be the lowest tech part of your whole experience here. I have books. I appreciate Werner Herzog for giving the book a plug. And I would like you to, I'd like you to hear a few poems, and you'll see that the poems have a common theme. And the first poem is called Another Reason Why I Don't Keep a Gun in the House. The neighbor's dog will not stop barking. He is barking the same high rhythmic bark that he barks every time they leave the house. They must switch him on their way out. The neighbor's dog will not stop barking. I close all the windows in the house and put on a Beethoven symphony, full blast, but I can still hear him, muffled under the music, barking, barking, barking. And now I can see him sitting in the orchestra, his head raised confidently as if Beethoven had included a part for barking dog. When the record finally ends, he is still barking, sitting there in the oboe section barking, his eyes fixed on the conductor, who is entreating him with his baton, while the other musicians listen in respectful silence to the famous barking dog solo, that endless coda that first established Beethoven as an innovative genius. Thank you. So that poem is not very new, and either that dog is dead or he's the oldest dog in the world, so probably the former. So he stopped barking at last. So that's sort of a bad dog. And this is a sensitive dog, and the dog in this poem is speaking. And the dog is considering an aspect of its relationship to its owner. And the title is A Dog on His Master. As young as I look, I am growing older faster than he. 7-to-1 is the ratio they tend to say. Whatever the number, I will pass him one day and take the lead, the way I do on our walks in the woods. And if this ever manages to cross his mind, it would be the sweetest shadow I have ever cast on snow or grass. I think one way I fit into the theme here is, I think I share this view with a lot of artists, that one way to change the world is to imagine a different world, imagine a new world, instead of accepting the one that is handed to us. So here's another imagined scene. The poem is called The Revenant, which is just a long name for a ghost or a spirit who comes back to visit you. The Revenant. I am the dog you put to sleep, as you like to call the needle of oblivion. Come back to tell you this simple thing: I never liked you. When I licked your face, I thought of biting off your nose. When I watched you toweling yourself dry, I wanted to leap and unman you with a snap. I resented the way you moved, your lack of animal grace, the way you would sit in a chair to eat, a napkin on your lap, a knife in your hand. I would have run away, but I was too weak, a trick you taught me while I was learning to sit and heal, and greatest of insults, shake hands without a hand. I admit the sight of the leash would excite me, but only because it meant I was about to smell things you had never touched. You do not want to believe this, but I have no reason to lie. I hated the car, hated the rubber toys, disliked your friends, and worse, your relatives. The jingling of my tags drove me mad. You always scratched me in the wrong place. All I ever wanted from you was food and fresh water in my metal bowls. While you slept, I watched you breathe as the moon rose in the sky. It took all of my strength not to raise my head and howl. Now I am free of the collar, free of the yellow raincoat, monogrammed sweater, the absurdity of your lawn. And that is all you need to know about this place, except what you already supposed and are glad it did not happen sooner, that everyone here can read and write, the dogs in poetry, the cats and all the others in prose. Thank you. And then, thank you very much. I'm going to close with a poem about my dog. It's called Dharma. It's not the dog's name. It's too heavy. The dog's name is Janine. Dharma is undefinable, I think, but it means your spiritual essence. And I'm trying to figure out if this creature has a spiritual capacity to her. Dharma. The way the dog trots out the front door every morning without a hat or an umbrella, without any money or the keys to her doghouse, never fails to fill the saucer of my heart with milky admiration. Who provides a finer example of a life without encumbrance? Thoreau, in his curtainless hut with a single plate, a single spoon? Gandhi, with his staff and his wire spectacles? Off she goes into the material world with nothing but her brown coat and her modest blue collar, following only the twin portals of her steady breathing, followed only by the plume of her tail. If only she did not shove the cat aside every morning and eat all his food, what a model of self-containment she would be. What a paragon of earthly detachment. If only she were not so eager for a rub behind the ears, so acrobatic in her welcomes. If only I were not her God. Thank you. Thank you very much.